Yeah? Yeah. Yeah? Yeah. So we doing this? Yeah, we're doing this. You should add an image of you and I. Oh, hang on, I've got something. Hang on. I've got multiple assets, hang on. No, it's not it. Hang on. Wasn't it just this one? Yeah. Okay. Here, I gotcha. Boop. There you go. Cool. There we are. Hello, everybody. Hello. Sorry if we sound a little groggy. We took a bit of a nap. Yeah, we kind of did. So, we were planning on starting this a bit earlier, but we wound up sleeping a little bit. We needed the rest. Yeah. I mean, our vessels can only do so much. You're not even calling your body a human body anymore, is it? Or are you? No. I mean, it's still technically a human body, but that's not here nor there. Yeah. But anyhow, what are we doing tonight? Well, there's been talks about a really big movie. Pretty popular movie. Pretty very well crowdfunded movie, if you will. A movie that a lot of people and their cat, including the cat's family, and just everybody, has been clamoring about. Oh yeah, and what's that movie? I don't know, something about blood, something about a submarine, something about abandoned tech, something based off a video game. I don't know. This is some indie horror game. Got really popular by some guy on the internet. He played it years ago, and then he was like, you know what? One day I want to make a horror movie. Like an actual horror movie. The way I want to make it. And he finally did it. And he finally did it. And this is that movie. Iron Lung? Iron Lung. So, educate me like I'm stupid. Okay? So, what is Iron Lung? Not the movie, but the game. What's the original source material? Okay. So, it's like this, right? Pretty interesting. So, the actual video game is just called Iron Lung, right? It's a submarine simulation horror game that was developed and published by this guy, and I'm going to butcher his last name a little bit, so I apologize, by David Zizmansky. Okay. The player controls an unnamed convict who explores an ocean of blood on a desolate moon in a small rusty submarine nicknamed the Iron Lung. Oh, so it's futuristic and dystopian. Yes, kinda. It's interesting. Okay, and it is very interesting because that's just the basic premise, right, of the plot. But if we actually went into what the detailed plot of what this game is, it not only spoils the game, but it spoils the movie as well, too. Ah. Which, look, that's obviously going to be actually my first critique about this film. I'm jumping straight into it if you're willing to. I mean, I'd rather ease into it. This is a pretty big movie. You rather ease into this? I'd rather ease into this. Okay. We'll ease into it then for once. Fine. We'll ease into it. So Iron Lung, like, that's what the game is. It's the basic premise. Is basically sometime in the future, there is this dystopian future, if you will, right? Very dystopian. And humanity has actually colonized space. So, and it's this big event which causes all the stars and habitable planets in the universe to inexplicably, like, just vanish, leaving only individuals aboard space stations or starships alive. And that's it. Oh. Yes. So to secure the actual survival of humanity, because, like, you know, because we all basically left Earth. There is a surviving colony that launches an actual expedition to a desolate moon that has recently formed an expansive ocean of human blood. And it's believed to hold vital resources desperately needed and required to sustain the human life, which is already deteriorating. Yes. And the player character is actually a convict who's been sent to navigate the trenches of this blood ocean in a tiny small submarine to verify the existence of if these resources actually exist or not. But this submarine has been modified to ensure it survives the pressures and depth of this ocean. So, and the whole point is the only thing that you have is the tools you need and a really powerful camera and basic necessities. And the player is promised freedom upon their arrival to the surface, but turns out there's more than meets the eye to it. Interesting. Yes. So yeah, that's the basic premise of the game. So okay, without spoiling anything severe, if that makes sense. No, that makes total sense. So then, what is the movie then? The movie is an adaptation of the game. Okay. That makes sense then. Right. So when did the game actually come out? Well, I can actually kind of show you real quick. Okay. So like here. If we go... Here we go. Okay. So like this is the actual this is the game itself, right? Like this is the actual game itself. Some of the images, including thumbnails and all that stuff, right? Okay. And your friend's going to Applebee's for their birthday. I noticed. Um, so like obviously this is just screenshots and certain things of the game itself, not really spoiler territory. Okay. But the game came out like it says here in 2022. So it's not even that old. No. The game is, I would say, 4 years old. Damn. Yeah. 4 years old. It came out on everything. So it's on PS5, Switch, Android, PC, Steam, all that. Right. And so the game itself has been out for quite some time. And you can still play it, actually, on Steam. It's literally like $8. And the same guy has actually made other games, too. So, like, he's made a few other games. So, he's made, like, a lot of other horror games. He's made Dusk. He's made The Moon Silver, The Music Machine. There's quite a bit. So, horror is like his forte, right? Correct. Okay. So, that is interesting. So... it is very interesting. Yes, it is. Got it. So then, the movie that we saw is based on the game. Got it. But, I guess, Markiplier really liked the game, so much so to a point that he invested a lot of his own money into securing the film rights into adapting the video game into a film. Correct. You know, and we're in a day and age right now where a lot of video games within the past like 10 years, if not recent years, have also been adapted into like TV shows, movies, other video games as well. Books, novels, stuff like that. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Well, before we continue, you should mention that this stream is actually sponsored. Yes, it is. Cinergy Entertainment was kind enough to hook us up with a free movie ticket, as well as some free drinks and popcorn for us to go and see this film just kind of whenever we felt like it. Thanks to my special Cinergy ambassadorship with them at Cinergy Entertainment and Cinergy Cinemas. So, special thanks to them. We were able to actually go and see the film and give our honest review and actually enjoy the film. I gotta say, though, I am glad that we didn't do like a slasher screening of it this time around, or like a late night showing. We went at like, what, 12:30, 1 o'clock in the afternoon one day. Yeah, we went in like an early showing. So we decided we wanted to go to an early showing. This way, by the time we got out of the film, we would have been like clear-headed. It wasn't as dark out. It wouldn't have spooked us as bad. That makes sense. So, but yeah, that's the game. So, and again, thank you to Cinergy for sponsoring the stream. Yeah. Okay, so now I understand what the game is. Yes, you understand what the game is. Which, I do want to actually play the actual game itself at some point on stream. So, I feel like it would actually be like a good time. So, good to hear. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Right? We're here to talk about the actual movie. We're here to talk about the actual film. So, but yes. Huh. So, what do you want to start? Well, first off, I want to start by saying this. And I feel like it needs to be said as a prerequisite early on. Oh no. Yes. Because I feel like it almost seems like mandatory or obligatory if I don't. Is it about Markiplier? It is about Markiplier. Okay. Can I get my thoughts out of the way first then? Yeah, you're fine. I think the guy is just okay. Really. Yeah. I like some of his stuff. I don't like all of it. I like some of the things he's done in the past. But I don't like every single video he's done. I don't like every single project he's done. But a good majority of it I have enjoyed. I have liked and I have partaked in. And I feel like Markiplier as a creative is a very talented individual. He's a very interesting individual. He is definitely very smart. He is definitely very crafty. He is one of those people that, given the right tools and the right, headspace and environment and anything he needs, right, he can make something that's truly incredible. Right. Have that being said, I feel like there's a lot of his stuff that he sticks to one thing, and that's mostly horror games and horror-related things, and sticks to most of that because that is his thing. Right. So, because of that, I like watching his stuff in moderation. He's one of those creators that, like, I don't hate them. I don't dislike them. But, they're there. Yeah. They're just there. And that's the thing. Fair enough. Fair enough. Now, what's your thoughts? I actually like Markiplier. I actually do like a lot of his stuff. I don't like his horror games. That's just not for me. I'm very picky with horror. And as such, it is nothing against him. I'm just very select and picky at the type of horror that I like. I don't like the bloody, the guy with a knife is going to stab you and chase you down in the middle of the woods and get you type of horror. I don't like the overly gory for the sake of overly gory horror. I like a very specific niche type of horror. Markiplier does not fit that bill for me. Not that I don't care. It's just he does not fit that bill for me. Now, had that being said, Markiplier does do a lot of other stuff that I really, really like. I really liked Unus Annus when he did that with Ethan. I like when he does his live action sort of sketch stuff where he cooks stuff, where he tries new things, where he, you know, taste tests different foods, where he, you know, does things that are very much out of his comfort zone. Does that make sense? Yes. And that's, like, for me, that's what I like the most. So, like, when he does, like, a lot of, like, his edit compilations, his IRL stuff, his non-horror related games, things like that, or when he does his actual film projects, like Who Killed the Markiplier, is like his various podcasts that he's done, things like that. I enjoy those. Okay. So for me, there's just a little bit of something for everybody. Heist with Markiplier was cool. I really liked that. When he plays non-horror related games, I like those. When he's just goofing off for friends, those are fun. The Markiplier Try series is good. But here is the thing. At the end of the day, there's a little bit of something for everybody. Yes. There's a little bit of something for everybody when it comes to Markiplier and what he does. And as such, I like a lot of what he does, but I have to be in the right mood to enjoy what he does. That makes sense. Yeah. That's where I'm at. So, now, had that being said, this was the first time he's ever actually done a full-fledged theatrical release of a movie. This is the first time he's ever directed an actual film before, like for theatrical release. He has done a lot of, again, big passion projects, short films, animation stuff. He's done like specials, right? He's done like a lot of YouTube original stuff. But this was the first time he actually really went out of his way to do something different. And you could tell because he is definitely very passionate about horror. So, that's just who he is. Right. Now, with that in mind, now that I got that out of the way, I have to reiterate this. I have to judge this film based on the film itself. I have to review and talk about this film based on its own merits, not based on Markiplier, not based on, you know, the various cameos and guest stars and celebrities that are in this film, not based on the fact that it's on a previous horror video game that I've never played, by the way. I've never played Iron Lung. Oh, you haven't? No. Never once played it. Huh. You should fix that. I should. Sorry, I had to turn off my mic and blow my nose. You're good. But, no. I've never once played Iron Lung. I have to judge this film going in blind without ever playing any of the game whatsoever and without watching any of Markiplier's videos on it whatsoever. Iron Lung as a movie is how I'm going to have to judge this review. Now, with that in mind, yeah, it's a decent film, except for the third act. But overall, decent film. Really? Yeah. Huh. I really enjoyed a lot of what made this film come together. I am not a big psychological horror fan like you are. So, you like your psychological horror. Yes, and you like more of like your unexplained supernatural horror. Yes. And this film kind of teeters between both a little bit. It kind of teeters more technically between like sci-fi horror, supernatural horror, and even like regular horror and like, you know, bloody horror. Yeah. And I mean, this film is definitely bloody. It is very, very bloody. Yeah, it is definitely a bloody film. So, to say the least. Oh, yeah. It is 100% bloody. So, like, no joke. But it is actually, like, a decent film. I will say that. Yeah. No, I will not disagree. It is a decent film. I have issues with some parts, but overall, I do genuinely like most of the film. But there are some things that also kind of piss me the absolute fuck off. See? Well, let me ask this. Do you want to do my review first and then yours, or do you want to like just get yours out of the way? I feel like yours is going to be much shorter, or is mine going to be just as long? Yours is actually probably going to be a smidge longer. Mine's actually going to be a bit longer too. Okay, so there's a good reason why we actually did it this way. Yes. There's a reason why we're doing this live instead of pre-recorded. Okay. So, well, pre-recorded in the sense that we're doing it live, but it's going to be up on Twitch and YouTube. Yes. So, yeah. I guess I could go first. Yeah, by all means. All right. Here's what I liked. I liked that a lot of this film definitely adapts the game pretty well from what a lot of friends and coworkers and family and other people have told me. right? Because I have no frame of reference. Since I never played the game, I never watched Markiplier play it, I just went into this blind, right? I like that the story, for what it is, at face value, makes for a good horror movie premise and concept. Okay? I like a lot of the acting. A lot of, Mark's character, because he plays the main character, aka the convict. He acts and does things really well. I like a lot of the voice acting and a lot of the editing and the cinematography and the way most of the film was shot during this. It was very vivid. It was very eerie. It was very trippy at times. It was also very dystopian, would be the word. Like, there was definitely a murkiness to watching this film. Yes. Had that being said, I feel like a lot of what made this film stand out compared to others is partly the marketing. Yes. Part of it is the fact that this film was created and produced by Markiplier. Right. The fact that there are a lot of people heavily involved with this movie. Right. And the fact that there was quite a bit with this film that, had it not been for the fans, would not have blown up as much as it did. Had it not been for Markiplier's community and fans, this film would not have seen as many eyes and viewers as it did. And the fact that Markiplier encouraged fans to request the film directly to the local theaters, in sort of leading sort of like a grassroots word of mouth campaign to it, which it reached a lot of several theaters. Like, it was mostly only going to ever play at local theaters, but this thing actually wound up playing like every fucking where. Yeah. Pretty shortly, it evolved to like going to AMC, to Cinemark, to Cinergy, obviously, to Regal, to like all these big places, B&B even. So, and it definitely distributed pretty big. So, but it definitely helped with the distribution of that, was the hype. Yeah. Also, what was kind of interesting, a little footnote, some theaters also partnered with local donation centers for moviegoers to actually donate blood in partnership with the film's release, because of it being about blood. Yeah. And the partnership actually led to over 37,000 blood donations in just the 1 week it was released. Or the week after its release, actually. Yes, the week after its release. So good on you, Markiplier. Good on you, Iron Lung. You actually, like, really did well. So, you actually did very, very well. So, that was pretty cool of you guys to do. Oh, yeah. Now, had that being said, I don't know if this film would have had a big audience had it not been for, you know, the outcry and the support. Yes. That is interesting to say. I feel like had it not been also for the big push to all these theaters that, and to because of social media, that this movie could have very well easily flopped. Because that's the other thing. It was competing against a lot of other films at the time, too. And still is. And still is. So, and even Markiplier himself joked about that in, like, shorts and tweets and other previous things. So, like, he actually didn't think he was going to get to number one as quick as he was in the box office. And yet, here we are. He got to number one for multiple days, possibly in a row, too. Oh, yeah. So, with all that hype built up, is the movie good? I would say yes. It's not the greatest, but it is good. It is not my favorite horror film of all time, but it is good. Markiplier's character as the convict, aka Simon, is very interesting because you get a lot more depth with this film, with this acting. And because of that, you get a lot more character depth for a character that we don't know much of, crammed into this film than I think was even necessary. But again, that's not a bad thing. I think that adds value to this film quite a bit. There's a lot more depth to Simon's character as a convict beyond what the game usually implies. Yes. Gotcha. So there's that. The second thing that I really liked is that this film didn't actually feel as long as I thought it was going to be. Really? Like, it's about a 2-hour movie, roughly. Maybe an extra 7 minutes here or there. And honestly, it's good. It's a good runtime. It actually, like, does a lot of the slow burn aesthetic with horror films in a way that, like, for the most part, actually works. Do you feel like anything could have been cut or trimmed out? Because that's your biggest complaint with a lot of films. I don't feel like anything could have been cut or trimmed out. I feel like everything was there where it was supposed to be. I feel like everything made sense. If that makes sense. Yes. That makes a lot of sense. So, like, it works. A lot of the film actually does work really well. And I felt like everything worked in its favor, is the best way I can describe it. I feel like everything clicked where it was supposed to be. And you know what? I'm good with that. Because it's very rare for me to say that it's very rare for me to say that a film like this doesn't need to chop anything out. Everything kind of just synced up where it's supposed to be. Huh. Yeah. Yeah. That's a lot to think about. The fact that a film just feels like it was perfectly cut. You know, like it was perfectly worked. Yeah, it's rare. It's pretty rare that happens. And that's actually one of my big highlights with this film. So, because of that, I really do feel like this film goes above and beyond for that. You're really taking your time to think about all this. I am, because, like, there is a lot that I really like, but there's some things that really could have been improved on. If I may. Yeah, go ahead. I liked that for about, I want to say, a good 90% of the film, like 85, 90%, this film also relied on one location for the most part, and that was just the inside of the submarine. There are some scenes that obviously take place outside of the submarine via flashbacks or via, like, you know, like quick instances or things like that. but like it's rare. And usually a lot of those things are plot relevant to the whole thing. To the point where it doesn't really take you out of the submersion of it, pun intended. Ha. So there's that. But the other thing too is it's so weird to say, but this film also feels like it's very minimalistic in its nature. Yes, it feels like despite how much of a budget this film really had and how much time and quality and effort went into this film, it does feel like they went with a more very minimal approach with the film. Yes. Now, my complaint is I feel like the supporting cast could have done a bit more. Yeah. I feel like some of the vocal team and the supporting cast probably could have done a little bit more, but I get also that the reason why there wasn't as much done was because the way this film is meant to be presented, you kind of need everything to be as cryptic and vague as possible up until the end. Yeah. So there's that. I will say too, one thing I did really like, I liked the eerie ambiance with the music score. Yes, because there wasn't that much music to begin with, which was kind of the whole point. Like, a lot of this, like, really did, like, use very minimal, like, music. Very minimal, like, I don't know. It could have used, it could have, like, it just could have used a little more with the musical score to make it feel like the tension and the eeriness was, like, really foreboding. But the other thing, too, is that a lot of this film is intended to be pretty quiet, pretty eerie. You get that uncomfortable, itchy feeling from not the lack of what's going on, but from the sort of the energy that it's putting out. Yes. And I think that's the point. It's meant to be very, like, it's meant to be very, like, subtle. Yeah. A lot of the horror also comes from the fact that this film really does, like, it really does push into what a horror game feels like sometimes. there's just eerie noises, things that keep you on your toes, a lot of like unraveling mysteries that doesn't make sense, it doesn't quite click yet. There's things you discover that feel like shouldn't be there before. Right? Like, there's a lot of stuff that, especially with this being mostly a psychological horror, like, you could tell that a lot of the hallucinations and the itchiness, the uncomfortable feeling, a lot of the issues that, you know, he believes are pretty messed up turned out to be mostly true. Yeah. Still. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, but in a good way. Yes. Now, here's the other thing, right? Despite all this, the acting is great, the eeriness is good, the ambiance is great, the acting is decent but could be better. The quiet moments are good. The effects are really good. Yes, the effects are really, really good in this film. Like, a lot of the effects, including the blood and the injuries and, like, a lot of, you know, what Mark's character deals with in this film feels and sounds believable. Up to a certain point. Yeah. But here's the thing. I don't know. And this is the problem that I have an issue with. And I understand that this is an adaptation of the game. I understand that they are ripping almost one for one the game's story and premise with this movie. However, I gotta be honest, the third act could have been better. Really? Yes. The third act could have been a lot better. So, and I did say that this stream was going to be uncensored and you know, like, we're not sugarcoating shit. So if you don't want, you know, spoilers, now's your time to click away. Oh, yeah. So we're really getting into it. We're really getting into it. All right. I'm going to take a wild guess and say the wrecked submarine part was your issue. No. I was fine with the wrecked submarine. I understand that the wrecked submarine twist was essential and part of the story. I'm fine with that. What upset me was the fact that turns out he believed he hallucinated all of it. And that the fact that the commander says that he's actually been missing for several days, far longer than what his oxygen supply should have lasted. And that it turns out the data for the other submarine actually was real and that they go to recover it. Ah. Yeah. Wow. Shit. Yeah. Honestly, like, I get that this is a dark horror film. I understand that the hallucinations were going to be part of the film. But, like, I don't know. I felt like the whole teasing the submarine, then doing a hallucination, then having him wake up from the hallucination, and then him finding out the other submarine is real, just kind of felt like it was kind of going back and forth a little bit with that. It didn't feel like it was narratively like going the way you wanted. Correct. Okay. Not that, again, most of the story is not bad, but I felt like it could have been either streamlined or tweaked a little bit for the film adaptation. Right. Now, my issue, like, that's not even my main issue, though, with the third act. My issue is exactly when Simon reaches the other submarine and accesses its data, including the audio logs confirming that the blood ocean does in fact contain human blood, as we knew from the beginning. My thing is, I don't know if it was because we were seeing it in the theater we were seeing it in, or maybe it was something with the way they shot the film, but it was too fucking dark to see the third act. Yes! Okay, I wanted to talk about this, because that's the thing that pissed me off. Me too. So, like, when we saw the film, we had assumed that the third act was gonna light everything up a bit more, that it was going to be this big escape attempt, that he's going to eventually, like, deal with some shit, sacrifice some shit, but eventually he was going to make it out and recover the black box, basically. My issue was not that he was juggling between saving the data and destroying it, like a morality problem. The issue was the third act was so dark, you couldn't see anything. Yeah, we couldn't see him struggling with, talking between the two girls back and forth, between the hallucination lady and Ava, who's the commander. We couldn't see the monster destroy Ava's vessel, and we didn't even see Simon struggling to move through the blood and the material growing in the submarine and onto his body. We didn't even see the scene where he tied the black box to a life vest. We just saw him basically say, screw it, sabotage the submarine so that its hull would fall under pressure. The submarine implodes upon being bitten by the monster, killing them both. And the life vest is shown flowing on the surface with the black box intact. And then the film just ends. Yeah. And, like, I guess it just, I don't know. For us, it just felt like, at least for me, the film ended very in a sort of deadpan, anticlimactic way, which I don't have necessarily a problem with. I don't have a problem necessarily with the ending per se. I have a problem with the fact that because it was so dark, for us to even see it, at least the third act, that we had to piece everything together. Yeah, we had to piece everything together, which was kind of lame. Weird. My issue was not that I had to even piece everything together. It's the fact that, like, it's just the fact that I couldn't see anything in the third act, and that I didn't understand what was going on until the film literally ended. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I guess that's it. You know, it's the American Dad meme of the, oh, that's it, show's over, Stan's dead. Yeah, that's pretty much accurate. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. So, I don't have a problem with the deadpan dark ending, but my issue is you set up a lot of this world building in the beginning of the film and set up a lot of this extra mental or extra, you know, this extra world building that focused more into the plot and the main focus, but the other world building in the beginning of the film felt like it was just there for padding. Like, I wanted to know what happened to humanity. I wanted to know what they left Earth. I wanted to know, you know, what the quiet rapture was a bit more. I wanted to know why the submarine was nicknamed the Iron Lung. I wanted to know a lot more about what happened to the wrecked submarine. Yeah, there was just a lot more like background depth stuff that I also really wanted to know, but we just didn't get that. And again, maybe I need to play the game and actually like sit and play through the game to get sort of that feeling, and I could get the world building that way. But like, you were hoping for a 2-hour film, it would cover a lot more of that in depth. Yeah, whereas the film, which I'm glad it did it this way still, it chose to focus more on Simon's backstory and who he was, even as a kid and even before he became a convict and all the other stuff. So I'm happy about that. But it just felt like it teased more than it let on and didn't answer those things. Yes. Or at least it didn't answer them in a way that like I noticed or was satisfying. That's fair. So, now, had that being said, despite all that, I liked it. I liked the film. I enjoyed the film. It is a good film. I actually enjoyed a lot of what makes Iron Lung good. You know, I like most of the cinematography. I like the acting. I like the cameos. I didn't know that, you know, Troy Baker was in this, or that Jacksepticeye and Ethan were in this. I didn't know that various other actors and actresses were in this, so that I really liked. I thought that was a nice treat. I liked a lot of the eeriness. I liked the ambiance with the lack of music. I liked that everything was shot in mostly one location. And yes, there was a lot of blood. Oh, there was a lot of blood. There was definitely a lot of scenes that were very bloody. And there was some gore. There was some pretty interesting moments of graphic gore, to even where I covered my eyes at one or two scenes and I was like, oh man, that's intense. But like, it was still a good film. It's just, we were so hyped for this film and bought into the hype. And when we finally got out of the theater, we both had this feeling of like, yeah, that was good. And we just kind of left it at that. Yeah, we just kind of left the theater like, yeah, you know what? This was good. I liked it. Didn't really have much to write home about. Didn't really have like, you know, like anything that really stood out other than the few things we mentioned. It really didn't have anything that like made it really pop out. We were just like, yeah, you know what? We liked this. This was good. And that's the thing. We were hoping that there was a lot more that we would get out of this, but we just didn't. We really didn't. Also, my review was basically going to be a lot of the same things. It was, I liked the acting. The music was good. The lack of music there was. A lot of the special effects, which I do want to point that out. Yes, go ahead. The special effects in this film were phenomenal. A lot of the way the creatures were designed, the props in the ocean, the way the submarine looks, the sort of eerie metallic environment that that claustrophobic feeling. You really do get that with this film. You really do. You really do. You get this sort of claustrophobic feeling to this, and honestly, it's really good. It's intense. It does get intense with this film. And it is good. Like I say, it's just, we went into it thinking this was going to stand out a lot to us. But realistically, it was more like, yeah, you know what? This was good. Yeah. So, but yeah, I really did. I did like it. So, I did too. I thought it was a quality film. And despite my gripes with the way the third act was shot, I kind of wanted a little more action, a little more like combat, and a little more like, I guess, depth of some of the story. You know, I wanted more of that, but for what I got, I liked it. For what I got with the ambiance, the character acting, the mostly tight story up until the end, and what I got out of that creepy, eerie feeling of like a good psychological screwed up horror film, it's good. And I do like it. Well, and it's funny because, like, a lot, like, there are some critical responses to the film as well, too. Which, some of it I even disagree with. So, but some of it I can kind of see. there's a consensus on Rotten Tomatoes from actual, like, aggressive reviewers and stuff that say a claustrophobic video game adaptation that can veer to just plain stifling. Iron Lung is more interesting for its production than its story, but it conjures enough atmosphere to announce that Mark Edward Fishbach as a filmmaker to watch. Which, for me, I disagree with that. I don't know. I never felt antsy watching this. I never felt bored watching it either. I never felt like it was stifling or it was too slow. I felt like the pacing was perfect. And I felt like the quiet eeriness actually helped this film a lot. It really did. So, some other people have praised Iron Lung for its visual approach and atmosphere for sure. Others critiqued it for its slow pacing and Markiplier's performance, which I actually liked Mark's performance quite a bit. So, which I guess that's the point, is like the character that he's playing definitely is meant to be this more like gray, dark area of a character that's a little more monotone on purpose. Right. So, and it was the visual language and a lot of the film's atmosphere is consistently very interesting. And it was more interestingly shot with great camera work than other comparable productions, which is great. But again, a lot of people are criticizing Markiplier's performance, which I disagree with. He did really well. I mean, I believed the character. I believed what he went through, and everything felt real. So, exactly. So, like, the performance was great. But, yeah. I just feel like a lot of people are nitpicky. Because, like, this is the man's first time ever doing a theatrical release. He's done acting before, but a lot of it has been in, like, productions and stuff that were not up to this scale. True. Give him credit where credit's due. Also, apparently someone on IGN said that it's got too low energy, but the musical score is great. Yeah, there's a lot of negative, like, rage-baity reviews and stuff, too, which is just dumb. Also, the film's definitely not low energy. No, it's not. So, but it is definitely a really good cosmic horror film. And that's kind of the reason why I like it. Because this really is like, yeah, if you really wanted to boil this down, this could be just a cosmic horror film. But realistically, it's more like it dips his toes into the cosmic horror realm, but doesn't fully, like, sink into it. It sinks into a lot of subcategories along with it. It does. So, and for that, I actually, like I say, I liked Iron Lung. I think there's some issues with it, for sure. Some of the pacing could be better. Some of the story could have been reworked, and the third act was hard to watch. But aside from that, I still liked it. I felt like some of the voice acting from other characters could have done more. I felt like, you know, maybe some of the world building could have been a little fleshed out. And I felt like, again, the ending felt very just deadpan. But despite that, I really liked it too. Yeah, we both really liked it. It's just a decent flick. So, I think Americans and humans in general are just too hard on films. Yeah, well, What are you gonna do? So, fair enough. Well, anyhow, we just wanted to babble about this for a bit tonight. So, yeah, we did. It just felt right to talk more about it like this, and get everything out versus a pre-recorded like 10 to 20 minute review. Right. So, it was easier to do this than chop it down. Oh, yeah. But, did you have fun? I did. Did you have fun? Yeah. I got some good talking points out, and so did you. Oh, yeah. You're more the movie guy than I am, though, so. Was there anything you wanted to add real quick before we signed off? Go see the film. Definitely encourage more indie films like this to take the box office, because it's because of things like this in Iron Lung that we're starting to finally see a shift in films and the way a lot of cinema is being played at, theaters. So support it where you can. Even if it's good, even if it's bad, money talks. Money does talk. Money does talk. Also, I didn't realize this, but a lot of the set design had smaller details than I realized. It did. There's a lot of things that I feel like they snuck some Easter eggs and stuff in this film. Especially the credits too. But like, we would have to again play the video game to understand some of it. Or I guess rewatch the film. Yeah, or just rewatch the film. So. But yeah, other than that, good film. Yeah. I don't have any other talking points to add other than just we liked it. There were some things that could have been less fucked up. There are things that could have been, sliced and diced a little bit here and there. But aside from that, we thoroughly enjoyed it. Chill. So, all right. That's going to do it from us. Yeah. Special thanks to Cinergy Entertainment and Cinergy Cinemas for sponsoring the review. Oh, yeah. And we'll try and do more mini live movie reviews like this in the future. Oh, yeah. Until then, more stuff coming out soon. Oh, yeah. And go see Iron Lung. You'll like it. For sure, you will. Later.